Alright. Oh, shit. How do I get off this thing? Fuck. This is really something I should have thought through. Stay there. See why people ride cars instead. Yes. Good money from top 10s. 6 shoes, I swear. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This episode of Top 10 was brought to you in part by Kidditas, the sickest Jordan thingies on the market. Literally, I think these are Skechers with an Adidas logo on them. This is very troublesome. Anyway, this week, we're going to be counting down the top 10 surprising champions. Now, I'd like to note that this week, we're not counting tag team champions because there's a lot of those, and really an entire partnership could be sort of a surprise, and just in general, it's a lot harder to keep track of what's surprise and what's not. So just generally, we're going to keep it to singles championships. So this is basically like, they're not necessarily a general champion, like, oh, it's a surprise that this guy's ever been champion ever. No, it's like a surprise that they've held this particular championship. So we will explain why, and please don't take any offense to it. It just comes to a shock. And some people on this list are absolutely the best of their division in some championships, and then some people just don't have a clue that they were even that championship. So it's really just based on the championship. So let's get to number 10. Coming in at number 10 is Quick One as the World Heavyweight Champion, and Pretty Boy 1524 as the Road WWE Champion. Now, both of them were looking to accomplish their World Championship, and the reason that these guys come at the bottom of the list at number 10 is because Pretty Boy is very famously regarded for his United States title chases and whatnot. Majority of his fame coming from that division. However, many people seem to forget the 4-day reign he had as Road WWE Champion, where he defeated CM Punk for the Road WWE title. Shortly lived until he was defeated by Creative in what I believe was a triple threat. Ness, on the other hand, many people remember him as coming just short of the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 1, and that sort of eludes people from thinking, I don't know if I use that word right, but it kind of distracts people from thinking that Ness actually did win the World Heavyweight Championship just a few months later with his Money in the Bank briefcase, cashing in on the then champion, Ranger 92, and had about a 2-week reign out of it. So both two reigns that are kind of forgotten, famous superstars nevertheless, but kind of forgotten reigns. That's Pretty with Road WWE, Ness with World Heavyweight coming in at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is Viper RKO 101 with the Intercontinental Championship. In the early days of R.C.W., there was a triple threat between the then champion, Flames Dude 44, I do believe, Spency 18, and his tag team partner, Viper RKO 101. And it kind of came as a surprise to many people that Viper RKO 101 would actually be the one that walked out of that match. If you think about it logically, that shouldn't have been too much of a surprise. But the main reason that this is a surprise to people is, one, many people weren't back around here in 2013, and many people regard him as one of the greatest United States champions of all time, with a record 5 times as United States champion. So it kind of overshadows his reign as Intercontinental Champion, and it was about a day long. So that's Viper RKO 101 as Intercontinental Champion, coming in at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is also for the Intercontinental Championship, this time Ethan JB6. In the summer of 2014, Ethan JB6 was able to defeat Yuns. Now, this sparked one of the controversies of the Intercontinental Division in 2014. It was around July area. Ethan was on a massive uprise, what with winning King of the Ring, winning the World Heavyweight Championship, main eventing multiple pay-per-views. Before all that happened, he was the Intercontinental Champion. He proceeded to beat Yuns at the time, the Intercontinental Champion, and then would face off against the guy who had the similar name to Yuns' alternate account. The guy who had the the confused name was Agent Cool the Best, current Hall of Famer, and he kind of sparked his career out of a sheer accident. It would, Ethan would never go on to win the championship again in the Intercontinental Division, but we would be successful elsewhere. So that's Ethan JB6 as Intercontinental Champion, coming in at number 8. Coming in at number 7 on a much less confusing note, like the last number was confusing as all hell, we got Spency18 as the IWF champion and Olgie Nigel-Ricky Green, the account he won it on, as the IWF champion. Now again, this really doesn't mean anything to anyone. The IWF champion, what the hell is that? That's like saying, like a year ago that ZM Punk was the global champion. It doesn't mean anything because it wasn't a title. The IWF championship, once R.C.W made the acquisition of IWF, the IWF Championship was added to the roster, sort of like Road WWE, but on a much less successful basis. After realizing that the title would switch hands again and again to be rather unsuccessful, it would be then merged or recreated as the European Championship, would go on for about a month, and would be worked together into the Cruiserweight to have the Unified Cruiserweight Championship. But that's not the point. The IWF was treated as a World Championship and would be immediately held by Ricky Green 1, 2, 3. Now, to the disappointment of many people, including the corporation, back in the days where decisions were a lot more willy-nilly, and we kind of just gave out world title shots to who we liked. Now, despite how much that may seem, that's really not the case nowadays. We just, I don't know, I guess we like all the good people. But anyway, the corporation made the decision to re-put the championship on the line, and Spency18 would then win the championship that very night, both of which booking them as world champions early on in their career. That's Spency and Olgie Nigel-Ricky Green as the IWF champion, coming in at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is Reborn Master as Road WWE champion. Now, this is kind of two things that, well, this is one thing that really doesn't make sense. Who is Reborn Master? If you were here in the summer of 2014, you know who this guy is. And there might be some names on this list that you don't know, but some people that have been here for a while know him. He was just a superstar like you or I. That sounds like a really crappy childhood cartoon, but you get my point. He was a superstar who was pretty talented for his time, and nobody really saw him as winning a championship until, shockingly, one day he asked Mattis for a match for the Road WWE Championship, and nobody really thought Mattis was going to lose that match, partly because, well, he was extremely over with the crowd, so many people just didn't see him losing as an option at all. To many people's surprise, he would actually go on to lose that match against Reborn, and Reborn would have a 17-day-long Road WWE title reign until SummerSlam, which he couldn't attend, and he would just completely fall out of activity and championship material, which is unfortunate because he actually didn't do too bad. But that's Reborn Master, or Childish Prophet, coming in at number 6 as Road WWE Champion. Coming in at number 5 is Olgie Nigel, or Yuns. Now, earlier on this list, I said Ethan beat Yuns for the championship. Now, that may not have meant anything to you, but if we all connect this back to his main account, he is Olgie Nigel, who won the Intercontinental Championship. Now, many people know of Olgie Nigel. They really don't know much about what he's accomplished because he was, a lot bigger in early 2014, late 2013, and he had a decent run in summer 2014, late spring. You get the point. He basically died out at summer 2014, and really haven't seen him much since, which is very unfortunate, but you get the point. On top of winning the IWF champion, making him a world champion, and winning the Road WWE championship, which is something people might actually know a lot better, him as Create Jacob, apologies there. He was also the Intercontinental champion for a brief controversial period where he would try to use his rematch clause, instead would go to the wrong account, then use his rematch clause on the guy who ended up getting his rematch clause and would fail and kind of just fall out of the Intercontinental division entirely. So that's Olgie Nigel - Yuns as the Intercontinental champion, coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is Ethan JB6 as R.C.W. champion. Now, some people know this, some people don't know this. It's really about who you are, but it is also about shockers to some people that don't know it. Now, the reason this is partly shocking is because, one, it was in the early days of R.C.W. in September 2014, I believe on September 4th, just to be specific. It was a 5-day reign until about September 9th, where he would lose to Viper RKO 101, would not have his RC, would not go to Night of Champions, and kind of just went out of being remembered as RCW champion because there's so far, and pretty much the entire division is remembered as Kids Rock 4 and Brooke to these days. But you get my point. Ethan JB6, although an accomplished World Heavyweight Champion, very well known for that. Intercontinental Champion, less known for that. A United States Champion, which is kind of also as surprising as the RCW, which I feel like I should have added, so you get the point. But in 2013, Ethan accomplished both the US and the RC, and that's both quite shocking, coming in at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Baby Chase T for the United States Championship. Now, again, this really depends on how much you like him, how much you follow him, and how much you really loved him. Baby Chase was a superstar that was really beloved by people for different reasons. I'm not quite sure. I mean, I liked the guy. I never found him the top, like, oh my god, I adore this guy. But a lot of people found him that way, which was just amazing. And he had a lot of fan support. He won the United States Championship for a day, if I do recall. Then would give a shot to his friend Eddie Armour at the time, which is Eddie Slayer today, and would lose the title on his very day of winning it, which was kind of a burial there. And then he would be put into a massive 5-man match at SummerSlam 2014 for the United States Championship, which very predictably, and this is kind of predictable for a lot of people, he lost because a 5-man match really is out of your control in most ways, and would be won by Mattis 3-2-0 for Mattis' second United States title reign. That's Baby Chase winning the United States Championship, coming in at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is Jiggy MPS 12. Again, another guy that I don't particularly adore, but he is beloved by the fans, which is enough, which is just fine. You can love who you want. That's one of, I guess, whatever. You get my point. But it also comes to surprise that Jiggy MPS was United States champion. He was a relatively talented, not the most talented, but really well known for his NXT title reign. He was the very first NXT champion back when it was defended about every 90 days and was literally one of the worst titles on the roster, sorry to say. Then it had a spike of being defended on a daily basis for God knows what reason, then broke away completely with Gorsh's reign, and then would come back into the weekly defenses that we have nowadays, elevating the NXT to a brand new level, but you get the point. But what Jiggy wasn't known for was being the United States champion for just a short week, in a sort of flip-flop period with the Intercontinental and United States championships, looking for prime champions going into WrestleMania 1's main event for both the United States and both the United States and Intercontinental championships in a double title main event. Those two champions that would end up being Mater and Ranger, so it kind of went forgotten that Jiggy would end up being United States champion, and if it wasn't for King Gunna's secondary Intercontinental title reign, he could have been in there as well on this list in the same position, because that was the same situation. So that's Baby Chase T, Jiggy MPS, I apologize, with the United States Championship coming in at number 2. And now you're thinking there's a lot of surprises on this list, maybe, if you don't know a lot about this, which a lot of people don't because they're 2015 joiners. What could be number 1? Well, coming in at number 1 is Kid Rock 4 as the R.C.W. champion. Now, not many people know that he held it for 616 days or were around during any of those days, but really it just comes to a shocker to literally everybody. Like, nobody knows. But you get my point. That coming in at number 1, and I say this because of recent circumstances, which may have altered the list, maybe potentially biasly, but I feel like with its current relevance, it makes sense. Afraid Hacker is a former World Heavyweight Champion. 1, it's a huge championship. 2, he just came back after almost 2 years of being inactive. Well, not inactive. I suppose he just wasn't in the company. And then he went into the NXT division. This is kind of like having Rhino go from his dominant place on the SmackDown roster. Okay, you can call it dominant. You can dream about whatever you want to call it, but you get the point. It's like Rhino going from SmackDown in one of the key storylines to going to NXT, and there's a lot of hardcore fans that really are like, oh my god, this is amazing that Rhino's back. This is amazing, but why is he in NXT? And then there's some people who are like, wow, new superstar Rhino. Who the hell is this? That's kind of the case with Afraid Hacker. As many people don't remember that he was actually one of the top stars of 2013. Although his World Heavyweight title reign was a day. But that is Afraid Hacker coming in at number 1 as World Heavyweight Champion. Jeez, Brooke, nice shoes there. Where did you get those? I just have one question for you, Brooke. What are those?
Please don't scratch my Jordans.
Yes, the Kid Ditas. Anyway, you can buy those on the R.C.W. network, or you could just buy the R.C.W. network for just $9.98.
8.
She's very, very drunk. I apologize. Anyway, I apologize that this top 10 was both confusing and really had a really terrible voice to it. My voice is literally freaking dying after that. That and my nose is
Maybe
actually.
next time I'll say the things and probably mess up every single word.
You
Yeah.
mess up the outro as it is, and you have like 2 lines in that. So, but continuing on again, my voice has been extremely like
Your
nasally because
noise.
my fucking nose keeps clogging up in the middle of sentences. So I apologize that these aren't as well spoken, but I hope that you still get the same kind of learning education value. Yay! No, but I hope you do learn something from this video. Anyway, again, if you disagree and you know enough shocking champions, probably all of you should be on this list because you all suck, and I'm surprised that you can even win anything.
Oh,
Heel
burn.
turn on a top 10.
Wait, John. Oh,
The
burn.
Wow, that was the only thing I'm mad about is you're scuffing my Jordans. Thanks. But anyway, this is Kids Rock 4 being burned at the stake.
Yep.
Approving this message.
Yeah.